Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Game and Movie Show. My name is Deshaun and today I'm here to talk some more about Across the Spider-Verse and how it seemingly, now I'm going to say in my video that is a question mark, is Across the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse in the MCU? Because I said it in my video and I try to be really vague about it. There are a ton of straight up references to the MCU. Now you don't see, ironically, you see all the live action Spider-Mans. You see Tobey and you see Andrew. Now, they're not like characters who are a part of this universe. They're like, but they're in the background. Like they reference the death of Uncle Ben multiple times, and they show the Tobey version of Uncle Ben dying and the Andrew Garfield version of Uncle Ben dying. Amazing Spider-Man and the original Spider-Man versions of it. So like, it's interesting. You don't see anything. There's only a quote, and we already heard that in the trailer where Spider-Man 2099 kind of basically he references Doctor Strange and Spider-Man from the MCU universe. Straight up references them. So, from right then and there, you knew that, like, at the very least, this multiverse is self-aware. This Spideyverse, so to speak, is self-aware that there is another universe. But in the movie, throughout the movie, and I definitely noticed it, seeing it while watching it, is there's this interesting thing that happens. Very interesting. Throughout the movie. Like I said, throughout the movie, there's this interesting thing that happens. Where at a certain point, Spider-Man 2099 is describing the Spider-Verse to Miles Morales. And the very first thing you see is a bluish white tree. And like, he's describing that as the greater multiverse. And looks exactly like Loki. It looks exactly like it's been described in both Loki and Ant-Man and the Wasp. It looks exactly like it did in that. Almost to a T. And then, like, even the way they show it is like they go within the multiverse is the Spider-Verse. So, from what I could gather, and all the evidence throughout the movies, also, Donald Glover makes an appearance as the Prowler, and he's clearly the MCU version of Donald Glover, which means that somewhere in the background, while Endgame and all this shit was happening, Donald Glover's character was becoming the Prowler comic book Prowler. But I digress. Like, they essentially said, and like I say, some people have kind of been like they were kind of vague about it, but they felt like they basically said that within the multiverse, the bigger multiverse is a Spider-Verse, which all the spider characters are connected in this macro multiversal event that's happening within the big multiversal event, which then lends itself to all kinds of crazy possibilities. Like, the next movie in the Spider-Verse series is called Beyond the Spider-Verse. And what the fuck do you mean by Beyond the Spider-Verse? Like, calling it that alone insinuates that they're going to affect that this Spider-Verse movie will interact, that the next Spider-Verse movie will interact with other things, because it's something that I've noticed, it's something that I'm sure many of you have noticed, is that the majority of the Spider characters exist in worlds where there are no other superheroes but themselves. For instance, none of the other Spider-Mans know who Doctor Strange is. At a certain point, at the beginning of the movie, 2099 says, he makes this comment about Doctor Strange. None of them know who that is. And even there's no mentions of any other superheroes in any, of the other timelines at all. There's no mention, So I am going on a limb and saying that the majority of these Spider-Mans exist in a world where they are the only Spider-Man. Where they are the only superhero. Which is true. Tobey and Andrew exist in a world where they were the only superheroes. It's why when Peter starts going on about being an Avenger and he's all giddy about it, Tobey and Andrew are like, what the fuck is that? And to be fair, the majority, only recently really, like, other than the animated shows, all the other Spider-Mans often exist in bubbles. Exist in bubbles where there are no other superheroes. It's like, it's a very interesting thing. And it seems like all those Spider-Mans exist in bubbles where they are the only superhero in their world. So, in short, I think we might get an appearance from animated Miles Morales in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty. And we are definitely going to get an appearance of Tom Holland in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Because it's going beyond, which means they have to interact with that. It's going to be beyond, and I'm curious if they're going to do it. Is this going to be how they get their live action Miles Morales? Because Spider-Verse has a, what's the word I'm looking for? Has a limit on how far they can go. Like, it doesn't sound like it does, but it does. Like, there's only so much you can do with the Spider-Verse concept. They're pretty much pushing it as far as it can go. It's like the multiversal concept. Like, there's only so far you can go with that. And after they're done with it, there's not much else you can do. Same with the Infinity Stone concept, the Infinity Saga concept. That's why they kind of dropped it, because there's only so much. After Thanos wipes out half the universe, like, that's the worst thing someone could do with the Infinity Stones. And it's like, well, after that, then, what's the point of even having them around anymore? They sure, it could power a hero or a villain or something, but as in doing something like this again, it should never be done. Same thing with the Spider-Verse. Like, after Beyond the Spider-Verse, like, there's a chance, and, like, I'm thinking it. Some people are thinking it too, that Miles is going to get stuck in the MCU. I'm telling you, you heard it here. The end of Beyond the Spider-Verse will end with Miles accidentally coming into the MCU. So then there'll be a live action version of Miles who's in the MCU, because I believe something like that happened in the comics. Something like that happened in the comics. I can't remember who. It might have been Gwen. Might have been Gwen. One way or another, something like that's going to happen, where Miles or Gwen are both going to accidentally, or particularly Miles, is going to accidentally come into the MCU. He's going to be a live action character now. He's going to be live action in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's going to be the same Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse with the same character arcs and whatnot, except now he's live action. Because like I said, there's only so much you can do with that, with the Spider-Verse genre. Otherwise, you can make more movies with the animated Miles, but it wouldn't be Spider-Verse movies. They would have to just be normal Spider-Man movies. Maybe you just call them Ultimate Spider-Man. Maybe the next trilogy of animated Spider-Man Miles movies are Ultimate Spider-Man. But there's a limitation on how far you can push the whole Spider-Verse thing, which is why, like I said, I predict that by the end of Beyond the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales will be a part of the live-action MCU. Because I can only imagine Sony would want that. Maybe by the end of Secret Wars, he gets his way back. Like, he figures out a way to get back. I don't know. But I can only imagine Sony would... Sony already confirmed they're working on a live-action Miles Morales movie. They've already, rolling the ball on that. So I can only imagine that they would want their big character, the character they've had the most success with in recent years, this Miles Morales character, this Spider-Verse trilogy, to be included in Avengers Secret Wars, which, regardless of how things have been going in the MCU, is probably going to be the biggest superhero movie ever made, probably. And Sony probably wants to be a part of that party. They're going to try to figure out a way to get Venom in there. They're going to try to figure out a way to get Miles in there. And I could definitely see them sneakily casting their live-action Miles while simultaneously continuing what they've already been doing by having Miles Morales, by the end of the next movie, be a part of the MCU. Plus, I genuinely do think that this is a part of the MCU. I'm not just bullshitting. I'm not just talking. I know some people are like, why can't they? No, they just had too many references and too many, like, that whole white tree thing. I was like, dude, that's exactly from Loki. And then they shrunk it down and went inside of the white tree, meaning that all the events of this movie is a macro thing taking place in the bigger wide web of the multiverse that exists in the MCU. But anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and what do you think below? Does the Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse take place in the MCU Multiverse, within the MCU Multiverse? And do you think I'm crazy to think that the end of Beyond the Spider-Verse will end with a live-action Miles Morales making it into the MCU? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I can already see it. Can't you see it? The movie ends. We're like, okay, cool. He opens his eyes, and it's like live action. And it's like, what the fuck? And like, Tom Holland Spider-Man is just like in his dorm or something. Like, who the fuck are you? He's like, who the fuck are you? And it's a live action Miles. Oh, I could see it. Anyway, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show again. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.